Hey there friends, thanks for checking in. I'm with Vincent Jackson of Integrity Shooting. We're going to talk a bit about what point is it right to draw your firearm. But Vincent, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, like Dan said, I'm Vincent Jackson of Integrity Shooting and Consulting. I am a local corrections officer here in Saginaw County. I work for the Sheriff's Department. I'm an NRA certified firearms instructor in basic pistol and personal protection inside the home, which is the CPO class here in Michigan. I'm also a law enforcement firearms instructor for the Sheriff's Department and for the Integrity Shooting and Consulting.
Okay, yeah, and I took a class with him this summer and it was outstanding. So I really do appreciate that. One of the questions I think a lot of guys wonder is, at what point is it right? We understand the importance of carrying a gun, we understand our capabilities, but at what point is it right? That's actually a struggle. What do you think about that?
Like we talked about in the class, a lot of things are situational dependent. So what you need to do, each situation is different, so you have to evaluate each situation. The only way that you can do that, you have to get quality training and you have to practice at home and go through your own mental scenarios.
Okay, so everything is situational dependent. So let's go through some situations here. We're by ourselves, we're in a parking lot like this, say a grocery store, and somebody steps up on you, demands cash. Something doesn't look right about them. You're about the same height and weight. You're not particularly intimidated by this person. How do you handle that situation?
Well, first of all, if you're not intimidated by them, don't pull your firearm. Because the main thing with pulling your firearm is you have to be in fear of your life. So if you're not intimidated, I definitely wouldn't pull my firearm.
Okay, but now you realize the guy has a buddy that's 10 feet behind him, and you know they're pretty much insistent that they want your money, they want something that you have.
Once they start insisting that they want money or anything like that, it would be reasonable to believe that they're going to take that money by force, either physically or with some weapon. So
okay, so now the guy steps up and invades your space, and he's pointing at you, telling you what you have to do. Give me that money, you know.
Now that he's in my personal space, now at that time it would be time to, even if you weren't going to draw your firearm, at least you put your hand on it at that point. But at some point, at this point, you should be feeling intimidated. If not, then maybe you're strong enough to whoop their tail, and that's what you just need to do.
Or you can run if you're by yourself.
If you're by yourself, if you can leave, definitely leave.
Okay, so that's for if you can leave, definitely. But if not, if you got a wife and kids in the car or the truck, hand on firearm, and what about the power of the voice? I don't think that gets discussed enough. The power of loud voices.
See, a lot of times people forget the power of the voice. With the power of the voice, just like if you have small children or even with your spouse, if that person gets loud with you, sometimes you may get embarrassed because they're drawing attention to the situation. Same thing with criminals. They don't want attention drawn to them to what they're trying to do. They want to come in, take what they want to take, and leave without being seen. So the power of the voice, stop, get back, no. And even if somebody doesn't see what happened, they can say, well, yeah, I heard somebody saying stop, get away, no, leave me alone. Then I heard gunshots. So that's going to help you in the long run.
Well, plus this is the age of cameras.
Yes.
So there are cameras there. So if you're like, stop it, get back off. That's going to show up on video as well as alert the people around too.
Exactly.
Okay. We mentioned our wife in the car. If let's say you're not there and she's at a big box store, she got the kids in the back, she's unloading, some shady looking guy comes up and starts talking to her. At what point, what advice are you giving her?
At that point, I would tell her not to pull your firearm. At that point, just because they're talking to you, I would tell her to get your hand on your firearm, whether it's on your body or in your purse. I'm not a big fan of off-body carry, even for women. So get that gun, get your hand on that gun. That way, if something does happen, things go back quickly, your hand's already on your gun and you can use it effectively.
Okay, so here we have a situation where many guys would be drawing their firearm at another human being for the first time. What emotions are going through from your experiences? What?
You're gonna have a lot of emotions going through your body. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm a firearms trainer. Like I said, I worked in a jail. Shooting someone is not easy. I've never had to do it. I've never had to put my firearm on someone. But I've talked to people on both sides of the fence. I've talked to people in law enforcement and in the military, and I've talked to guys who've been locked up for murder. And they've both told me the same thing. Killing someone is not an easy thing to do. So that's a decision. Once you've made it, you can't undo it. But if you have to do it, you'll be able to live with it.
And if you have to do it, do you suggest double tap?
If you have to do it, I suggest shooting until the threat is gone. not so much a double tap. You keep pulling that trigger either to the run away from you or to the threat is stopped and they're on the ground. They do not have a weapon in their hand.
Keep a spare mag.
Keep a spare mag. Keep a flashlight. Keep a pocket flashlight. Even if you have a weapon mounted light.
Now we touched on women a bit, and I agree. Purse carry is not the best option, but better than nothing.
Definitely better than nothing.
Right.
Definitely better than nothing.
Now they would be able to justify a defensive shooting much easier than a guy like you or me.
Depending on the situation, if it was someone their same size and different things like that, it would be hard for one of us to justify shooting each other with our statures and height.
Right. Okay, well, your height. Okay, at what point are we brandishing? Is this brandishing? Hey, back off, man.
I would say no. Like, I'm not an attorney, so I would say no, always consult your attorney. But blading your body away is doing two things when you're grabbing that firearm. Not only are you keeping it from them from grabbing it from you, but you're not showing it to them. So they can't say you pulled a gun out and you're pointing a firearm at them and they weren't a threat, but you're blading your body away. They can't get to it. You have your hand out and they can't see the gun. Even if you didn't have a gun, this position looks like you're grabbing a gun.
Right.
So I wouldn't call that brandishing. I would say that's just being prepared.
Okay.
In case things go bad.
All right. Now, let's say an attacker has a knife.
Okay.
Which is extremely dangerous, by the way. I mean, a lot of guys think, I've got a gun, they've got a knife, it's over. But that's not always true, is it?
I've seen photos from law enforcement officers with knife wounds, with edge weapon wounds, and they are horrible. They look like they've been flayed open like a fish.
Okay, so we need to take a knife extremely serious. And what would you say the footage is?
There's a rule that they say, it's called the 21-foot rule, and it says if someone is within 21 feet of you and they have an edge weapon and they come charging at you and you go pull your gun out to fire at them, they will make contact with you every time before you're able to pull your firearm out and get around on target.
Yeah, that's true.
21 feet is not a lot of space. It may look like it, but it's not a lot of space.
Right. And that has been proven time and time again.
Yes.
The guy with the knife has the advantage. Not only does he have a knife, but he chooses when he attacks.
Yes.
We are in responsive mode.
Yes.
Okay, one more thing I want to talk about. Modifying your carry firearm. Some people put the Punisher or zombie stuff on it. Not a good idea for court?
Not a good idea for court. It depends on where you're at and how closely they're going to look at the firearm. What's the jury going to think about that? You have to factor all that stuff in together. Now, if you're talking stippling your gun or lightening the trigger, all those type of things may not come into play, but putting zombie on there or putting certain wording on the gun may come into play in the courtroom.
Right. All right. Well, that was good, Vincent. Thanks.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. One more thing. I want to remind you, get some training. Get some force on. Not only do you get regular training, using your firearm on a square range, but you got to get force on force type training. I don't care if you go to somewhere else, if you come to me, but definitely get force on force training. Nothing's going to prepare you for the real fight, but the force on force is the closest thing to it. So
I agree. Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
This is good. I appreciate you watching, and you guys be safe.